one time, abortion in Florida was doubly protected. First, it was protected by the US Constitution, and it was protected by the Florida Constitution, which had an explicit right to privacy, which the Florida courts had interpreted to include a right to abortion. Then, a very conservative US Supreme Court overruled federal precedent and said, actually, the US Constitution does not protect the right to abortion. That was the Dobbs case that overruled Roe v. Wade. The law in Florida right now is that abortion is illegal after 6 weeks of pregnancy, with a few exceptions.
In college, I had my group of friends at that time, and they wanted to party, and so I used to be like the person that was the one that would plan the party, let's go out. And then I just remember the goal was always to find a guy, find especially a guy that knows how to dance and have a good time. So I did. Later on, we planned a trip to go to Orlando. And once we went to Orlando, I just remember just waking up the next day feeling nauseous. And my friends that I was with in that group were just like, you're not hungover, you're pregnant. And I was just so angry. And my friend at that time was just saying, it's okay. Like, you're pregnant, it's fine. You can get rid of the problem. And so I was just listening to her, really confiding in her at that time. And she had told me at that time too, like, I've done it before. You're fine. You're going to be okay. And I said, okay, well, if she's done it and she knows a place that's safe and effective, and this is probably a problem for me at that point, then we should get rid of the problem. And so sure enough, she ended up giving me the contact information, and she said, you just need $600 and you'll be fine. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to hear anything. I just need to erase this and move on with my life. And so of course I did. And I remember just driving up to the abortion facility, and my hands were on the steering wheel and just like shaking. It was just a moment of fear and desperation, loneliness. And I remember driving up there, and I was just like contemplating again. But I was like, I gotta do this. I have the money. I gotta do this. They say it's gonna be easy, simple, quick. I'll be okay.
So I was in high school. I went to a private Catholic high school. I was on birth control at the time. And it really kind of like changed my body a lot. And it was very weird. I got acne, I gained lots of weight. And so instead, the next time that me and my boyfriend at the time had sex, I think I had only been off the pill for about 2 weeks. We used spermicide and got so nervous after still that I took a Plan B, like not even an hour after, because I was just like, oh no. I was like, that was dumb. And so, time goes by, I didn't feel too different. But then, a month goes by and I didn't have my period. And then that's when I started to feel like a little different. Like I felt heavier. I felt really tired and unwell. I came home before school. I peed on a stick and it came back positive. I was like, oh, no way. That's insane. Thankfully, my mom was like, why are you crying? What's wrong? Just tell me what's wrong. Because I couldn't get the words out. I remember at the OBGYN, after, they'd done the test, one of the nurses came in and was like, okay, so we'll get you scheduled for some prenatal care, right? And I was like, absolutely not. I was like, oh my God, what? I'm 16. Are you messed up? That was just so wild to me. I'll never forget that because I was just so insulted by that. And also just kind of like, you don't know me from anything. I'm also a child. We were waiting in the lobby, and I was just kind of like a little anxious, but I was like, this is the right thing. There was a baby, like babies in the waiting room with me, and I'm just looking at them and I'm like, I couldn't. I just knew that I just could not do that.
We went from abortion being doubly protected in Florida to having almost no right to abortion at all. Now, there was still protection under Florida's constitution, but then, unfortunately, a conservative Florida Supreme Court overruled Florida state precedent and said, actually, the right to privacy does not protect the right to abortion. And that's how we got to the possibility of the legislature passing laws that restrict abortion.
So currently we do have a process and a way in place to do this safely. Medically the procedure is quite simple. It's not comfortable, it's painful. It's, to me, in my personal opinion, it's traumatizing whether you want it or not. It's a tough pill to swallow. Pregnancy alone, causes a lot of changes to your body, and this is stopping that, and aborting it and abruptly just stopping what was going on in your body causes even more trauma, emotionally and physically.
So the doctor comes in, he offers to show me an ultrasound, and so I looked at it because, I wanted to see. And I looked at it and I was like, okay, yeah, that is a fetus. It is inside me, but I don't want it to become a person. I am not ready for that. And so, they stick a needle in you, you fall asleep. I woke up and I was in a very comfy chair, in a robe, and they eventually called my mom. I went home and slept for like 2 days. And, after that, I definitely felt odd, not because the abortion had hurt me or because I was sad, but because it was just such an adult thing that had happened.
I remember the woman taking blood from me. I said, am I really doing the right thing? Do you think I should do this? And she says, you'll be fine. There's plenty of women that come and do this. You'll be okay. They do the ultrasound, but they turn the screen away from you. And I was just like, can I see? And they're like, don't worry, it's just nothing. You're not too far along. You can't see anything. You're okay. And I just remember there was a moment of desperation for me to really want to see. And then the process for me, it was fairly quickly because of the chemical abortion. You just take the pills and you go. And so when that happened, I just remember leaving there and I was like, that's it. I just remember getting in my car and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to class. Everything's going to be fine. And I just remember feeling this pressure in my stomach, thinking, what did I just do? I remember calling and they said, well, you need to come back. You're having the adverse, whatever effects to the abortion. And so I go back, they give me, medication. They put me upside down. I remember just passing out there in the bed. Then I just remember them waking me up and saying here's meds you need to take and you're good to go. You need to go back home. I mean, I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. And it was a very traumatizing time for me. And thanks be to God, because of my faith, I went back to church, which was very powerful for me because after that healing that I received, I was able to go out and love others and really serve others. And I knew that in my heart, I didn't want anyone to go through that.
But I eventually got back to myself and, restarted sports and because it definitely took me a while to get back into that. Went to therapy, talked it out, and I was okay. And then I just moved on.
If the amendment would pass, right, that would mean that I could have the choice and the access to say no to her.